Good afternoon, Dr. Felina Yang, Tina Torres, Mrs. Chu, who are at the helm of this convocation. Thank you for the honor of inviting me to speak. Dr. Hizon was a profound influence on everyone who had the pleasure of being under her. I hope I do justice to her memory. To begin my talk, I would like to introduce you to my five new reasons why, although I have been in environmental education for the past so many decades, I am more impassioned than ever because of my 5 grandchildren. You can see how full of life they are, full of energy, and I would like them to continue being this way. I would like them to believe that they can soar, they can go and do whatever they want and be whatever they want. But they can do this only in a safe, empowering environment. And so I do my work because I believe that they deserve a healthful environment. Many of you, the adults, the faculty here, have your children and grandchildren. The students will soon have your children. And I'm sure your dream for them will be the same. So we're all in this together. This is not a mistake. When I have a blank slide there, it's because I want you to look at me, not at the screen. As I was preparing this talk, I remember that one of my papers for Dr. Isabel Hizon was on atomic energy. There was a Cold War between the US and Russia at that time, and they were stockpiling their atomic bombs. But I looked at the situation in a benign way, and I thought this would bring about a balance of power. And I remember my last sentence in my paper, which goes something like this. With the threat of terrible destruction, no country will dare use the bomb because of the possible retaliation from the enemy. I have come a long way from that perspective. But at that time, maybe because she liked my writing style, and because neither of us probably realized the gravity of the implications, but surely because she allowed me free rein, she gave me the room for my own opinion. Dr. Hizon gave me a good grade. Maybe now another teacher would not. Thank you, Dr. Hizon. I wish you were around. It would be nice to hear your wisdom at this time when the world has become so complicated. So let me now turn to this complicated world made more complicated by science, applied science. Science is actually about God's creation. I don't know if you ever thought of it this way, but it is, if we come to think of it. Science discovers the laws of nature. Chemistry, physics, biology, astronomy, etc. reveal to us the omnipotence of the Almighty. From the infinitesimally small atom to the forces that bind them to give us the building blocks of matter, to the nuclear reactions that cause stars and suns to shine and to give us our wonderful, wonderful universe. From the complex reactions of the living cell, the microscopic living cell, to the mighty trees made up of millions of these cells, to the ecological interactions that make up the biodiversity, the web of life of the planet, the glorious wonder of it all. They reflect the greatness of our Creator. As humans learned about nature, we also learned to manipulate it in order to improve the quality of human existence. Application of science, or simply technology, has brought us comfort, convenience, enjoyment. Technology, we can say, is simply the extension of our organs and senses. It has allowed us to reach beyond the capabilities of the human body. Through instruments, we see beyond our field of vision. We see what is happening on the other side of the globe. We see the inside of our organs. We see the edges of the universe. Transportation modes, extension of our legs and feet, bring us to other countries fast, and even bring us to other celestial bodies like the moon. We have gone to the moon. The computer is the extension of our brains. It is now the handmaid of all our machines, directing their intricate circuitry so that at the touch of a button, we can do complex statistical computations, print a 1,000-page novel instantly, correct the misalignment of a spaceship. In this journey to improve the quality of life, education has played its part, turning out scientists and technologists who have created and innovated and given us the world we live in now. But technology has its downside. And my focus for this talk is its impact on the environment. Specific technologies have their specific downsides. I will discuss technologies according to 3 factors: the nature of the technology itself, the volume of use, and alternatives. In general, the further we move from the natural and the greater the volume of use, the greater the impact. Conversely, the environmentally benign alternatives are those which mimic the closest nature. Let us take the technology of fire, or energy production. Fire, the source of energy for much of our needs, for cooking, travel, electricity, warmth. The first natural source was wood. It was taken from gathering vegetation nearby, from forests which were plentiful at that time, in times past. As we know, burning of wood and other carbonaceous material results in the emission of carbon dioxide. In the early stages of human history, with relatively few people on Earth, this was not a problem, because whatever carbon dioxide was emitted could be absorbed by the plentiful trees. With the invention of machines, however, which utilize more wood, large tracts of forests were cleared. The discovery of fossil fuels, petroleum and coal, for producing fire was a boon, a great source of energy. But it was not in the normal mode of things. It came from underground. It had to be dug. It was not renewable. And now we have 7 billion people on Earth with our enormous energy needs for everything that we need, that we use. Practically, we need electricity. And so tons and tons of carbon dioxide are released into the atmosphere every second, and we do not have enough trees to absorb them. Thus, we have the phenomenon of global warming. And as we know, our Earth is getting warmer and warmer. And as we in the Philippines know now so painfully, we are the victims of the flip side of global warming, climate change. And when our typhoons strike, unfortunately, this scene is now so common after Yolanda, Pablo, Sendo, Ondoy, and perhaps many more. Let us now go to those technologies which produce materials which are alien to nature. Two examples are plastics and persistent organic pollutants or POPs. We say they are alien to nature because they do not exist naturally. We produce plastics from petroleum, and these molecules are not recognizable to bacteria. So bacteria cannot break them down because they don't recognize them. So they leave them alone. That is what we mean by non-biodegradable. And so, if disposed improperly, we get our humongous dump sites full of plastic, and they are often the source of clogged drains and our floods in the metropolis. POPs, persistent organic pollutants, are usually in the form of pesticides. Again, they are not recognized by the human body, and if they get into our body, they cause diseases of the nervous system, of the kidney, of the liver. When sprayed on agricultural fields, the runoff gets into our rivers, to our seas, entering our fish, and ultimately ending in our own bodies when we eat this fish. Let us now go to those technologies which seem to go beyond acceptable limits of human intrusion into nature. Two examples are energy production from nuclear power and genetic engineering. As our students hopefully know, I don't know about our big adults because when we were in school, at least those in the social sciences, maybe you did not learn about nuclear energy. As you know, this represents the reaction of nuclear fission. Uranium is split into atoms. The splitting of uranium is not a natural phenomenon on Earth. And the products of this fission are not naturally occurring in nature. Yes, they are substances like barium, cesium. They are found in nature, but not in the form that results from fission. They are radioactive. So when a nuclear power plant uses the technology of fission, unfortunately, even in the normal operations of a nuclear power plant, radioactivity is produced and it contaminates the surroundings. But what is worse is when, as Murphy's law says, if anything can happen, it may happen And it did happen when we had our nuclear explosions in Fukushima, Japan, and Chernobyl in Ukraine. Well, this is the representation of a nuclear power plant run amok, or it explodes like an atomic bomb. At each stage, more and more uranium atoms split, exponentially increasing, and in a split of a second, so many uranium atoms split and produce the enormous energy that is released by an atomic bomb. And the atomic reactors in Fukushima and Chernobyl caught fire, exploded, and released radioactivity far and wide. With Chernobyl, the radioactivity spread up to Central Europe and even beyond. While in Fukushima, the 50-mile radius of evacuation affected about 1.2 million people. And this radioactivity stays in the atmosphere. It does not decompose because that is the nature of radioactivity. Some live for millions, some billions of years, some for hundreds and hundreds of years. And so people cannot go back to the places which they evacuated from because they are already extremely radioactive. But unfortunately, although we live far from Japan and Chernobyl, these radioactive particles have entered our environment, the waters of our seas, the air. They have increased the background radiation. It is possible that this is the cause of increasing rates of cancer. They have gotten into the environment and into our systems. And now we say that it is impossible to put the nuclear genie back into the bottle. There is now a move to dismantle all the nuclear bomb arsenals in the world. That will take a long time. I hope you join though in this campaign. Genetic engineering, I know that my fellow alumni here of my age and thereabouts did not take this up in college. I hope the students have taken this up. Have you? You're taking, you have learned about GMOs? Okay, so I think I've heard many yeses. So, but for those who are not yet aware, genetic engineering is changing the genetic makeup of an organism by introducing a gene from a foreign organism. Okay, all of us have our own genetic makeup, but change one gene and we won't be us. You won't be you. Okay, a GMO will not look like this, but this is the idea. A gene from one organism, let's say a pig, will be inserted into the genetic makeup of a caterpillar. Okay, it will still look like a caterpillar, but this is the idea. I hope you got that. Or maybe the gene of a banana will be placed into the genetic makeup of corn. Okay, again, it won't look like this, but that's the idea. Two species are mated. Two species are mated, which ordinarily will not mate in nature. But the most common genetic engineering done is the introduction of the bacteria gene into corn, soya, canola. We call this the Bacillus thuringiensis bacterium, and its gene is inserted into the DNA of these organisms. Why do we do this? Those who are developing GMOs are developing them either so that the insects which prey on the crops will be killed, or so they will be resistant to herbicides, or to increase the vitamin content, or protein content, or drought resistance, etc. These seem to be laudable objectives, right? But unfortunately, there is growing evidence that GMOs for food, and this is food, cause adverse reactions when we take them in. Because again, this is the most alien of substances. They're not only exotic, they're not found only in other countries, but they're not found anywhere in the world. They are created in the laboratory. And therefore, when taken in, our systems of hormones, enzymes, chemicals in our bodies does not recognize them, and so they create havoc in our bodies. And experiments with rats and other animals have shown that they can indeed cause tumors, immune system disorders, liver and other organ diseases. And so because these corn, soya, and canola products are found in many of our processed foods, so some of these are found in these foods which you probably eat. Do you eat some of these? Okay. Will you die tomorrow? Probably not. But just like smoking, the effect is cumulative. And it also depends on the age, the stage of growth of the person taking it in. It would affect children more, and this has been there is a parallel between the increase in autism, ADHD, allergies and cancers, and the rise of use of GMOs. How do we evaluate technologies in order to decide how to use them, or if we should use them at all? We need to compare the benefits and the disadvantages. Fossil fuels have fueled, literally, the rise of civilizations and modernization of societies. And therefore, it would be very difficult to wean ourselves from fossil fuels. But our addiction can be tempered. We can modify our lifestyles so that we do not consume as much electricity, gasoline, consumer items. Our good Holy Spirit nuns taught us simplicity as expected of followers of Christ. But now the spiritual reason is reinforced by another, and this is the very existence of the human race. Otherwise, our planet will just continue heating up, and you can imagine what that will bring about. We can make our gadgets more efficient. The development of LED, light-emitting diode, the compact fluorescent bulb is welcome development. You've heard of the plastic bottle bulb, which is just a 1 liter Coke bottle filled with a solution of water and bleach, and the diffraction of the light allows light in informal settlers' home. This was invented by a Filipino, so we should be proud of that. But to be truly effective, to make great strides in reducing the rise of carbon dioxide in the atmosphere, we must use renewable alternative technologies to minimize the emission of carbon dioxide. Wind power, geothermal, micro, mini hydro power. You know, it has been computed that we have enough wind power so that we can develop 10 times our present status of development just by wind power, our potential for wind power. Geothermal, we have used only 1/4 of our geothermal power. We are the second largest producer of geothermal power in the world. Solar, we have barely scratched the surface. We are tropical, so we have a lot of it. I don't know if you've heard of the ramp pumps. This is simply using the energy from flowing rivers in order to pump water to the mountaintops. Again, it was invented in the Philippines, and it won one of the international search for such innovations. I think it was a CNN search. As to plastics, we know now that the answer is to mimic nature, to follow nature. In nature, nothing is wasted. Everything is recycled. The waste of one organism is the food of another. And so the mere segregation of our waste, solid waste management, will already help address the problem of plastics. As to POPs, persistent organic pollutants, the international community has spoken, and it has banned the use of what we call the dirty dozen, although it's now more than 12, pesticides. What about those technologies which intrude into the fundamental levels of matter, nuclear power and genetic engineering? For me, the decision is obvious. We have so much renewable energy. We can do away, we can phase out our fossil fuels, and definitely we do not have to go nuclear. And genetic engineering? Why do we need to modify our food anyway? The Lord has given us so many unimaginable diversity of food. And now we are being told that our lowly malunggay, kamote, alugbati, kalabasa is nutrition full, loaded with nutrition. Organic meat is now available. Genetic engineering must be seriously questioned. But I urge you, students, to continue, and everyone, to read up on this technology because it is the subject of worldwide debate. Friends, the Lord has given us the intelligence to understand nature and to use it to improve human lives. But we have seen how many of the applications of this knowledge has wrecked the very environment that should sustain us. In the end, we ask, do we need science still? Do you think we still need science? We need more science. It is scientists who understand very deeply the workings of nature. They are the ones who understand what has gone wrong, and therefore they're the ones who can show us better, more environment-friendly technology. It is imperative pray that science education deliver this message. That as we continue to pursue technological wonders, we must make sure that future generations will meet their needs with a safe and nurturing environment. For your children, grandchildren, and mine. But scientists can only do so far, can only go so far. It is still up to all of us to make the decisions on what technology to use and how much we can, as individuals, selflessly do our part. Sustainable development is something we must pursue as a nation, as a global community. Never before has this challenge confronted humankind. Let us meet this challenge as God's stewards, as God's children, in the legacy of Dr. Hizon, in the legacy of our beloved Alma Mater. Thank you for your attention.